On this episode of Inner Voice.
Anyone who has tried to explain something to someone else realizes really quickly they're going to completely lose them if it's not clear that we have checked to make sure they're not hungry.
Most people have a ground floor of better not screw this up. It means something about who you are. You're starting off terrible. You got to prove yourself, and a whole bunch of self-hate inside the learning process.
Whatever you're doing in the classroom has to be about all the students in your classroom.
Well, hello everyone. This is Inner Voice. These are the dulcet tones of Jeffrey Marsh. How are you doing, Zach?
Oh, I'm so sensational. I'm like, it's a really good conversation
so sensational.
Today.
Tell me.
It's a good conversation today because it's a little wives' secret that we record the interview first.
Did you call it a little wide secret?
Like a wives' tale.
Oh, a wives' secret. Are we the wives? Like Real Housewives?
Well, I don't want to graft an identity onto you.
Oh.
I guess you're.
I thought that was a compliment. Thank you.
Oh, well, I was going to say neutral spouse.
Yeah, we are the non-binary spouses of the Potomac. Isn't that one of them?
Of the Potomac. I'm losing my mind.
But today we're talking about education. And Inner Voice is a podcast that replaces your nasty, gnarly, gnarled, awful, horrid inner voice with us. A sense of community, a safe space, a place of kindness. I am a Zen teacher and a Zen student, studied for over 25 years now, and 2 best-selling books. Oprah liked my first book. If you are just listening to the audio, you're not getting the shoulder action for today. But you can imagine my shoulders. Very excited about my beautiful books being in the world. This topic is really, really important to me, Zach, because as we will discuss with our guest, people learn how to learn. People think they're just learning, but actually you learn how to learn. And educators tend to be some of those people that teach you what learning is before you then go to do it. And the foundations are so important.
Yeah, and you learn how to learn, and it's also a learned thing, your comfort with learning. Right, like your relationship to education and your relationship to receiving information is a learned comfort, right? And so it's a little meta, but there's also like people who are more receptive to learning things and who are more comfortable with being wrong and then fixing stuff, as opposed to those who have a belief that will always be what it is. That's actually, we're going to talk about it today, kind of, that's a learned thing in itself too, is your comfort with being proven wrong and or adding more information into your plate, you know?
Yes, and we all must have a sense of safety before we can learn. You know, we did a lot of that work at the monastery where I trained, of course, and to some people, learning is about punishment. And what's wrong with you? And let us continue to learn in this community with joy, with kindness, with respect for others, and in a place where everyone belongs. So I like to do my reminders before to ground our episode and to ground what we're about to do together and what we're about to experience. And I have a few things to say. What students see becomes what they believe they can be. And I don't just mean LGBTQ-ness. I mean the best, the most delightful, the most wonderful educators that I have ever experienced in my life are not just teaching something, they are showing a possibility of how to live. An education system without every student in mind isn't an education. It's exclusion. And I know it's become popular to exclude some. But in my mind, that's not education. Representation in the classroom changes curriculum and it changes individual lives. The folks who are directly represented and the folks who are acknowledged and folks who are not of that group. Everyone is enriched by representation in a classroom and in a learning setting. And by the way, perhaps I should say before we get into this episode, everyone's constantly learning. So either you're a student, you're an educator, or you're not neither of those things, but you're still in a process of learning within yourself and within your world. And we will touch, as you know, Zach, we will touch on the Supreme Court in today's discussion and the right to opt out of certain things in the classroom is now legal, but the right to be seen shouldn't be optional. So with that, I would like to I'd like to bring on somebody who's very special to me and is a dynamic, beautiful, wonderful human being and an educator right now. Dr. Kyle Whipple is one of my favorite people on earth. And Dr. Kyle is also an associate professor of education studies at the University of Wisconsin, Eau Claire, which I have been to, I have seen, I have visited. And he started teaching mathematics and science in rural Northeast Missouri in 1995. I'm going to ask if that was during the first version of Queer Eye. And after 20 years, he left to attend the University of Minnesota's STEM Education PhD program at UWEC, University of Wisconsin at Eau Claire. Kyle teaches future teachers both mathematics content and general education practices with a focus on critical care pedagogy and integrated content. That's like when you're teaching reading and mathematics at exactly the same time. Hi, Dr. Kyle.
Hi, Jeffrey.
How'd I do with that intro?
That was amazing.
I'm so always in the moment that sometimes the teleprompter, sometimes she tries to snatch attention away from me. But it was important because the thing I've been dying to talk to you about is how people learn to learn. Your experience. So as a Buddhist, in a spiritual way, we don't learn anything. The very, very first thing we learn is how we're going to learn. In other words, most people have a ground floor of better not screw this up. It means something about who you are. You're starting off terrible. You got to prove yourself, and a whole bunch of self-hate inside the learning process. Can you talk about helping people to break free from that pile?
Yeah. There is, tons of evidence, which is not shocking to anyone who's ever tried to teach someone else something, that what matters first and foremost is that the person believes that you care about them as a whole individual, not so much that you are focused on whether or not they can figure out what 2 + 7 equals, but that...
Wait, you mean... Wait, feeling affirmed, feeling loved, feeling seen for who you are is more important than 9. The answer is 9. I got it right, didn't I?
Well, only if we're in base 10, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's what I meant. So go back and say that. So it's been studied that people need to be accepted for who they are as a base for learning.
Yeah, and Nell Noddings, I will say, is the researcher who is credited with this. But then I always, because I'm a teacher at heart, not a researcher, I always say, but teachers have known this for forever, right? Like, again, anyone who has tried to explain something to someone else realizes really quickly they're going to completely lose them if it's not clear that we have checked to make sure they're not hungry, their needs are
Mm.
being met, and also clear that we're connecting it to something that they can relate to, right? Like, I always use the example because pickleball is so popular right now. It's like the most
Is it
popular
among the
growing sport.
youngs?
Don't quote me on that. This is it's a popular sport. Um, and I always talk about the fact that if you're going to teach somebody how to play pickleball, it will help if the person has played tennis or has played even ping
Mm.
pong will help. Um, and if they haven't played any of those things, then you're going to start off teaching them that in a very different space than if in their experience they've even ever seen a ping pong table, right? Like those things really matter. And you'll know whether or not they've seen a ping pong table if you take some time to get to know them, and show some interest in their lives. So,
Imagine that. I mean, I had I'll just speak personally about my education. There were few teachers who did, there were a few, and I remember every single one. Interesting. Who did see me and did try to meet me where I was and didn't judge. And then there are many, many teachers who, use punishment as a tool, and you've got to adhere to whatever the ideal is instead of being yourself. So quite a different approach. It strikes me that spirituality is the same way. I mean, learning anything, like how to accept yourself, would be the same way.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So tell me, I mean, specifically about learning and teaching in Missouri and what drew you to math and science specifically. How's it going in Missouri? And how did your LGBTQ-ness, your queerness, fit into your classroom, from the beginning, if it did?
Yeah. So the reason why math and science was literally just because I was good at that. I was going to
What's
go.
that like, Dr. Kyle? I was in musical theater. Not that they're not compatible, but
Yeah. It's the classes where I didn't feel like I had to work
mm,
hard, to be
mm,
successful. Um, and my family background is very blue collar, lots of military folks, lots of farm folks, lots of factory folks, and I was just going to go into the Coast Guard. That was the road I was going down. And then I had a high school math teacher who was like, you could go to college, and I was like, no. And he was like, no, really, you could go to college and major in math, and really just put me on a different path. And I started to take school seriously in a different way. My I like to tell the story. You brought up music. My dad is one of the people who was kind of like, yeah, you go to school because I don't know what to do with you during the day. And so
mhm.
in one of my years of band, when you had to have the little card signed, and it was supposed to be like a weekly signature saying that I had practiced 20 minutes or whatever, my dad
Mhm.
just signed the blank card all the way down. He was like, this seems like a dumb thing to do every week. I'm just going to go ahead and sign this all the way down. And of course, I got in trouble at school for that. Like,
Oh, because you went to hand in your paper and they were like, the future is signed out. You practiced in the future. Your dad vouched for it.
oh yeah. So,
Yes,
nope.
you were good at math. And could I say you loved it? It had joy in it for you?
Um, I'm not sure that as like a middle school, high school student, I loved math. But I did see that it got special treatment. That
Oh, say more. Hmm.
the kids who were dubbed good at math, um, were sort of patted on the head in a different way, than students who were, good readers or something like that. Um, and so I think I latched on to that sort of like, oh, if you're good at math, you're kind of different, and that's a different set of scholarships, right? Than just general, run-of-the-mill educational scholarships. So yeah, that's really what did it. I figured out that I could go to college, basically for free, and then it became an
Mm,
option. Um,
mm.
so
I I am wondering about your queerness and how that informs. Uh, Tell us about the arc. when you came out, what that decision was like, how it informed your teaching style?
Yeah, so like many queer people, I came out many times. Um,
If you could put a number on it, 25, 30 times.
25 or 30.
Yeah.
I always say that I came out for the first time in 1975. I was born in 1971, and when I was
Mm.
4, I just walked right up to my mom and asked her when I was going to get my penis.
Is it coming from Amazon.com? Not yet.
And then there was the adolescent coming out, where, at 4, you don't know who you are, and so that it comes again during adolescence. And then again in my early 20s,
Mm-hmm.
which technically is still adolescence, but is still different, right? Like at the end of college versus in the middle of high school.
Mm-hmm.
I did not come out as a teacher until like 2012. So I was 16 years, 17 years into teaching, before I socially transitioned. And I didn't do that at school. Like I
Mm.
socially transitioned with my friends and family. I was on social media as Kyle, but I was not at school, even though I had started medically transitioning. Um,
Wait, were you a doctor yet?
I was not. No.
Okay, so Kyle first and then Dr. Kyle.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So how did you make the decision, if you did, to then begin the process of coming out at school, in the classroom, in teaching?
Um, yeah, most of that came down to money. I mean, transitioning
Mm.
as a trans person, is just, do you have the funds to do it, right?
Mm.
And when I had the funds to do it, I did it. And it took me a long time as a teacher in rural Northeast Missouri, to get the funding put together. But eventually I did it. So.
And how did that? I'm making an assumption, but how did that foster a connection to your students?
I as a teacher had several students come out to me. Again, rural Northeast Missouri, it wasn't a huge school.
Mm.
Um, graduating classes of around 150 students. But it was not uncommon for students to come out to me in various ways. Mostly, not maybe not surprisingly, throughout my entire teaching career, not just at the end when I had started my medical transition. And probably just because I always was supportive, always, putting off the signals to students that queerness is fine, and you're going to live a long, happy, healthy life, and yay,
Then yay.
yay.
And you weren't sending out the signals of judgment and shutting down and yeah, and generally being an unsafe space to be. You were sending out the kind signals, and it seems that you could say young people pick up on that stuff.
Oh, they definitely do. I
Yeah.
mean, um, and it's a hard line to walk as a teacher, right? You don't want to be everybody's best friend. You still need to be their teacher.
Mm.
But you can be kind and still be their teacher. And they know, the students gravitate towards the folks who are going to give them some respect.
So after transitioning, not to imply that it's a light switch, it's probably, we'll all be transitioning our whole lives. And, post transition, did you change anything about your teaching?
I was really thinking deeply about this, and I was like, oh my gosh, I hope not. Right?
Right?
Like I hope, I hope that from the first day I walked into the classroom in August of 1995, that I was speaking openly about, racism and homophobia and all the things.
Mm.
But of course, we would have to rewind the tape, and I don't have that.
Well, I was thinking specifically about lessons or examples that might be more conscious of or more inclusive of queer students.
Yeah, yeah. Now that
But
I
that
have,
probably was part of what you've been doing all along, I would imagine.
yeah, it has
Yeah.
been. I've been pretty consistent about, oh my gosh, it's math, right? So like 9 million problems about lawn mowing. It's like, do kids even mow lawns anymore? Like, no, we're not going
Mm.
to do the problem about lawn mowing. We're going to do a different problem, and it's going to involve these two people, and this is what's going to be happening. More recently, things like riding bicycles relative to riding e-bikes. Which one is going to provide the fastest route and the best exercise, or things like that. One of the problems I more recently have introduced to my curriculum, that is, I think, a really fun one, is about the use of they them pronouns. And when a community slash society decides that it's okay to use those, and then how many people adopt that as part of their normal language. And that's a very fun problem. And you can make it super simple, right? You can talk about your own classroom. So there's only, 25 students or something, and we're going to talk about how many people want the they them pronouns and how many people are good at using them, right? Or you can make it much more complex. And, I create an island where no one's allowed to enter or leave, and there's 1,500 people on the island, and how long will it take for everyone on the island to be using those pronouns? And
And
that kind of stuff is very fun.
And the kids that use they them are seen, heard, they light up, and they feel validated.
Yeah.
Well, on that lovely note, let's talk about the Supreme Court for a moment. And I wanted to turn to you specifically. This opt-out system. So if people are not aware, they recently ruled that parents can opt out their children from LGBTQ inclusive lessons. And if you understand, things differently, let me know. But to me, this seems like schools won't have the resources to be able to keep track. So it's possible that all LGBTQ content may just simply be chucked out of the classroom. Is that your experience of how it might work?
That could happen. I have hope, because I need to have hope, that so few people will actually take the time to opt out that doesn't happen. But it won't just apply to, I guess technically right now it's only LGBTQ plus material, but someone was quoted as, "Oh, this is a Pandora's box," because, an atheist can now come in and say, "I don't want my child learning about any religious holidays."
Mm-hmm.
So every time you start to talk about a religious holiday, my child needs to be sent to the library or have something else they're doing.
We need to have an opt-out system for every single thing, huh?
Yeah, and that is definitely overwhelming. I can see situations where there is tracking. So students are purposefully placed in classes where they get to learn about evolution versus the students who don't want to learn about evolution. They get placed in this other class, and, what do you teach? As a former science teacher, I would on occasion in rural Northeast Missouri have a parent show up and say, "I don't want my child to learn about evolution. I want my child to learn about creation." And I had pre-made a popsicle stick jar with 200 of the creation myths. Now, there are actually 3,000 creation myths, but that many popsicles wouldn't fit in my little jar. And I would say, "No problem. Your child gets to learn about creationism. Here's the jar. You pull out a popsicle stick, and I will teach them the myth associated with that particular creation story." And the parents' face would just drop, because they have a very specific creation story that they want taught, right? They don't want just any creation story taught.
Or creation stories from all cultures, all places around the world. Yeah.
All over the place, right? There's just so many.
So you don't stop educating. Is that what you're telling me?
I am telling you that.
You're committed to it.
I really am.
One thing that I'm deeply concerned about is the effect it might have on young people. So tell me the good news if you think, young people aren't paying too much attention to the Supreme Court. But I have a feeling it will add to this pile of anti-LGBTQ stuff that's around these days that will make it harder for particularly LGBTQ kids to learn, feel safe, feel belonging.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I grew up in schools with no queer representation whatsoever. It really just didn't exist. And that
Mm.
sucks. I mean, it's just terrible.
Can verify. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just terrible. To go into a library and be like, I want to learn about these things that I'm feeling about myself and have absolutely no resources. Is just
Mm.
really, really a difficult way to go through a system that's supposed to be educating you.
Indeed. And the non-LGBTQ kids also suffer because you don't get to learn about what other human beings are about and what the world is like.
Yeah, and in today's world, at least the weirdness for me in 2025 versus the weirdness of that in 1978, it's just that it's already everywhere. So to
Mm.
me, it's going to be like quadruple weird now for a kid at school to be like, well, where's the book about my family? I have two moms. I mean, like, because other kids are exposed to that all the time. Like, no matter what the folks in this lawsuit think, their children know about queer families, unless their children are literally living in caves. They know about queer families.
Well, because we are a beautiful part of the human tapestry.
Yeah.
And as you're saying, we have been in all cultures, all times in the world, but also, everybody, we're in your family, we're coworkers, we're fully integrated at this point. So it does seem rather odd. Yeah, that's what you mean?
Yeah, that's absolutely what I mean. Well, and we're teachers,
Mm.
I mean, what does this mean for me if I'm teaching at a high school level? Does a student's parents have to allow them to opt into my class and I'm the only geometry teacher in the building? I was the only geometry teacher in the building for 15 years. So their kid's just not going to take geometry?
Skip over it. Yeah. Well, that's what I kept thinking about when reading media about the decision and then eventually reading the decision itself. It doesn't seem practical to me. This is what you're saying, that, schools are already strapped enough. I mean, we don't need to give them another assignment about what to do and how to do it, especially one that's as gargantuan as, how do I want to phrase it? Taking LGBTQ people out of the classroom.
Yeah, impossible.
Yeah.
It's an impossible
Yeah.
task.
Yeah. Just like taking us out of life and out of families and out of being teachers and that too. So tell me more about your personal philosophy of learning. If there was a student, if there was any student, you could only pass on one lesson. What's the one lesson?
Oh, be kind, care. Um,
Mm.
all of my future teachers hear me say it over and over again. The most important thing you can do is care. And that comes with kindness, right? Um, I tell them it's just this sort of magical, and it really is to me magical that you can increase a student's learning, increase a student's participation activity in your classroom just by knowing something about them, like anything. If you know anything about them outside of the school space, they're going to increase their participation and their engagement and that will increase their learning. And my gosh, how simple is that? I mean, holy cow, go to the jazz band concert, go to the jazz band concert, listen to the
Mm.
kids play, and then at
Mm.
school acknowledge that you were impressed by the way they can do that. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden they're going to learn more about history or math or science or whatever it is you're teaching. They're going to learn more about. I mean, that is the most simple investment in someone's education. Like, whoo, it's just mind blowing that something that small will change their outcomes in the course.
Yeah, it's mind blowing because I think so many people don't do it. And I'm not talking about educators generally. I'm just thinking if we have a lifelong learning, which is in a sense, I joke sometimes that people ask me what happens after you learn to love yourself. Once I've mastered that spiritually, what is the next plane that I get to move on to? And there isn't one. It's a lifelong learning to love yourself. And as you were talking, I found myself picturing, could we treat ourselves that way?
Mm.
Could we have an enthusiastic, vested interest? Could we go to our own band concert spiritually? Right?
Yeah.
And then the next day ask ourselves about the, oboe. You know, have a vested interest in ourselves, especially if we were never given that as young people.
Yeah, for sure. And teachers are just such a great group of people to do it.
Mm.
Like, most teachers already feel extremely passionately about something. That's why they've decided to teach the thing, right? So yeah, that's my big takeaway over and over again. I tell them, everything should be about you getting to know the students and then teaching them. So I start. This is shocking to some people. I start my math courses, my how to teach math courses, by talking about how to get along. We don't do
Mm.
math for the first week. We don't
Mm.
talk about math at all. It's just, here's how we're going to make a community within our classroom so that folks can trust one another. I mean, math especially comes with the perfectionism, right? Oh my gosh, if I add the 2 plus 7 and I get 9, but then Kyle says, oh, that was actually in base 8. Now what? Um, you know, that's going to freak me out. I'm too
I
scared.
don't know, but I'll take your word for it.
Right? And we have to break that barrier down before we can actually engage with this whole I care about you as a human being. I want to make sure your needs are met. That is part of the community building. And now we can talk about math. Now that we've done some work to make sure we're all in a trusting, caring space, then we can talk about some math. But we're not going to talk about it before we all trust one another, because it doesn't help. The kids who already know how to do whatever it is you're talking about, they don't need the trust, right? They're already there. You need everyone in the group to feel the trust, and then the
Mm.
then the group will work. Then the group will work,
Then people will learn.
and then people will learn, and hopefully, people will learn how to help other people learn.
Well, yeah, we've been talking meta the whole time. They will learn how to learn.
Yeah,
And that is a skill that can be passed on through example, if nothing else.
yeah, for sure.
And it's, we're so much alike. Because when I coach people on the spiritual path, you spend the first moments letting them know that it's safe. And particularly safe to make a mistake. Safe to say something you didn't mean. Safe to say, I don't know. There's just safety. And in that kind of foundation, you can have almost anything be possible.
Yeah,
Can I come take your class?
absolutely. Oh my gosh, it would be so amazing.
I would love it because I think I would learn more about how to love myself through you.
I hope my students take that away. Yeah.
And love numbers. And,
Again, I do love math now. Like I really do
mm,
deeply have a passion, especially for geometry. But when I decided to be a math teacher, I'm not sure that that was the passion. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
sure.
it's interesting how that develops over, oh my gosh, too many years.
Oh, it chose you and you sort of grew into
Yeah,
loving it.
that's a, I think that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, one last thing I want to ask you about, and it's highly philosophical. So, what would you say to schools and districts about that fear backlash? And what I mean is, how can educators foster inclusion even under pressure?
I would say, that the vast majority of parents who drop their students off are going to trust you to educate them.
Mm.
The vast majority of parents are not going to take a microscope to what you're doing in the classroom. There's very, very few parents who are going to do that. Always circle back to whatever you're doing in the classroom has to be about all the students in your classroom, and focus on that. I am going to add a tiny story if that's okay. Um,
Why would you ask me? You're a guest in this place. Hit it.
our high school had a bomb threat, which schools do. And
Mm-hmm.
it was a weird one because it happened before school started. So, the teachers are there, it's whatever. Let's say it's 7:25 and the students are allowed to come into the building at 7:30, but classes don't actually start until 8. And there's, buses dropping students off and this, that, and the other. And the principal comes on and onto the intercom and says, "We've had a bomb threat, so we're going to need everyone to exit the building." But it's a weird time because number one, we don't really know how many kids are in the building. But number two, we need to prevent them from coming in. Right? They're getting dropped off.
Mm.
We need to keep them outside. So we have this huge green space in front of our school because we're very lucky and it's beautiful and it's a wonderful day, actually. So we're all out there. All the teachers are just stopping the students from going into the building, right? We're all standing by different doors and going, just hang out over there in the grassy knoll and, we're doing a thing and it'll be fine. And a parent rolls up to drop their kid off and they roll their window down. And they're like, "What's going on? Why is everybody outside?" And I said, "Oh, there's been a bomb threat. So we're keeping students out of the building until, the dogs can do the sniffing." And the parent's like, "Oh, okay, well, can my kid text me later and tell me, that they're okay?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, obviously, of course." And they're like, "Okay, honey, have a good day." And they kiss their kid on the cheek and send the kid off with me. So, like, I'm telling this to just like illustrate that, like, this parent just dropped their child off with me in front of a school that is under a bomb threat. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and if their parent's going to drop their child off with me under the threat of a bomb, then certainly they're going to drop their child off with me under the idea that I'm going to teach inclusion in their classroom. Like, that is so mild compared to the school board. Like, can my child text me if you're teaching something that feels like uncomfortable to them? Of course, no problem, right? Like, the vast majority of parents do trust teachers. We have a weird narrative in our country that all parents hate all teachers, and that's not
Mm.
true. That's not true at
Mm.
all. Our public schools are community centers, especially in rural areas. They're the space in which the community comes together to gather because they actually just like physically have a space for that. Parents are very trusting of teachers, and teachers have to know that so that they can trust themselves to make good decisions about, yeah, I am going to make sure every student feels welcome in my classroom because that's what this community is about, welcoming everybody. So, yeah.
I think about the broader world and the societal context that, through social media or whatever other means, we tend to think that people hate people largely. And, or people are afraid of people largely. I bring up social media because that's my milieu. But I it's my experience off of social media that most human beings are good human beings and are kind to others. I really do witness that. And to forget that is to everyone's detriment. So thank you for telling a story and reminding us. And I think most parents would, I mean, I don't have any children, but I want to be in your classroom if that's any sign of how much I trust you. I would hope that most parents would value a sense of inclusivity. Not just be okay with it, but would want that. Because to loop back into what we discussed earlier, that's one of the purposes of preparing young people for the broader world.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what values or approaches do you hope that your students carry forward and particularly about visibility, respecting people,
Yeah, we
stuff like
talk
that.
about we talk about little things that we can do as teachers to make our space inclusive that wouldn't fall under the banner of a political sign. So, things like
You put political sign in quotes. If people are not watching, sorry to interrupt you, but that's because you're not permitted.
yeah, it's
Oh.
a it's a funky thing. The state of Idaho, the state of
Uh-huh.
Idaho's attorney general just declared it. I don't know how attorney generals can do this, but just declared it illegal to have all are welcome here signs in classrooms.
All are welcome?
Yeah, they can't have those in their classrooms because they're political.
Oh, welcoming everyone is political. Okay. Now, wait. When I was in elementary school, 3rd or 4th grade, I did a paper mache topographical map of Idaho. And I also, because I am that kind of A plus extra special, and I was that very extra special child, I also made a large, as big as your head, paper mache potato to go with this map. I had extra paper mache, and I decided to do extra credit. I take it back. I take it back. If that's how they're going to treat teachers, I take back my paper mache. I'm kidding. That seems difficult. And so you were literally referencing that news item.
Yeah, well, and and that's not the only place that has said we don't want, like, don't put a rainbow flag up because that would be political, or
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a rabbit hole. But I always tell them you don't have to put a rainbow flag up to make yourself visible to the queer community, right? It can be so little. You can wear
Mm-hmm.
a stocking cap that's a rainbow. We're in Minnesota, Wisconsin, it's very cold. You can do so many subtle things that are not going to get tagged as political statements that make a huge statement to your queer kids.
Yeah.
Acknowledging Day of Silence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just telling the students that about Day of Silence is a huge, huge inclusive hug, you know, and supporting students who decide to partake in that or whatever. But
Yes. And in a world, yes, I'm so glad you brought that up, because in a world where we are politicized, it's imperative to find ways to be inclusive, even under pressure, as we've been talking about.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time today. I truly appreciate it. And, I hope you don't mind my saying, if I had had you as an educator, I think my life would have been quite different.
Oh, that's so kind. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for what you do. And thank you for who you are.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeffrey. You changed the world. So
Guilty as charged. Let's both keep changing the world. Thank you. So, Zach, how are you doing over there? Wasn't that a good conversation?
That's good. It's really good. I actually have my eye blot. I don't know why I got a little emotional.
Oh my gosh,
I
me
think
too.
I was thinking of in 2025 how there's now students who once again don't see themselves represented. And I don't want to give away my age, although I'm not ashamed of it either. I kind of went to middle school, high school, just before LGBTQness was like, I mean, I don't want to say commonplace because I think that's a blessing. It's not that way everywhere, especially not in different countries, especially not in different places in the U.S. But being from the East Coast, I mean, it's not shocking to know that gay, trans people exist by the time you get to high school. But even so, it wasn't necessarily in the zeitgeist when I was a student. And to have had the euphoria of the knowledge of progress for people younger than me, I think there's a lot of emotion in the very concept of it being taken away again. in the regression of it. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, 50 years forward, 20 years back.
Yeah.
Is what it feels like. And of course, we always progress. But I've said several times I can't imagine being a young person, especially a young LGBTQ person now. Very, very tough. My heart goes out to everybody. And you have some trivia for me. Do you not? Trivia!
Oh my God. I almost...
Is that German?
Oh my God. No, please. The one episode you called me out for my French English accent, and the comments are brutal. It's funny though. It's fine. Okay, yes. So my trivia question today is Supreme Court decision specific, because I think it's really important to drill this home in case people have not been paying attention. And I don't mean to put a timeline on this episode. Right now it's July 3rd, so this is pretty timely. With the recording of it, we don't always know when these get released. So with the SCOTUS ruling, which Supreme Court of the United States, for those who may not know, now allowing opt-outs from LGBTQ lessons, and how many U.S. states have districts already banned such lessons? So let me ask again. So with this SCOTUS decision, how many United States have districts that have already banned lessons with LGBTQ plus themes?
20. I'm going to guess there's some states in the middle haven't gotten there. Some blue states won't. And some other states, about 20 of them.
Yeah. And we'll clarify this later, but I think it's important to clarify the proposed decision, which is not final, and we'll talk about that later too, is about parental opt-in. So I'm not trying to scare anybody in LGBTQ plus lessons, themes, whatever, are officially banned in the US. It's all about the parent's choice to opt the kid in or not, which is a slippery slope and not necessarily any better, but it's not, this final action thing.
Well, yeah, and to clarify the trivia so that as people are keeping it in their mind throughout the episode, it is what we sometimes call trigger laws. I don't know if that specifically is what you meant, but it's in relationship to that exact SCOTUS decision, how many states have laws now.
Yes.
Yeah. What a world. What a time to be alive. Oh, we're going to take a break now for an advertisement. And please don't go anywhere, because the discussion, the very rich, wonderful discussion, continues right after this. Hey, you know that advice you give your best friend? The one that lifts them up, reminds them of their worth, and helps them keep going? Yeah, what if you actually took it yourself? My book, Take Your Own Advice, is the permission slip you didn't know you needed. It's a guide to self-kindness, to finally believing in yourself the way you believe in others. Packed with wisdom, warmth, and that signature Jeffrey magic. This book is like a cozy chat with me, or one of your most supportive friends. So, if you're ready to stop second guessing and start thriving, grab Take Your Own Advice wherever books are sold. And hey, this is your sign. Hey, beautiful soul, Jeffrey here. Are you ready to finally release what's holding you back? Step into your power and live authentically as your truest self? My one-on-one life coaching sessions offer you personalized guidance, heartfelt support, and transformative insights that are tailored just for you. Let's journey together toward greater self-love, clarity, and empowerment. Apply for life coaching at jeffreymarsh.com. You deserve this personalized care, and I'm here for you. I do see in my outline that you have a question for me from the community. One of my favorite things to do, hearing from the Discord.
And mine too. But before I talk about the question, Jeffrey, what is this Discord community and how does one join?
What is this? JeffreyMarsh.com. It's Jeffrey's safe space, named for moi. Whenever I use the word moi, I think of, growing up in the 70s with Miss Piggy, always speaking just a little French. It's a safe spot where we are coming together to learn together, to be kind together, to have a sense of community together. And we do events. You get special discounts on things. You get to ask questions in the episodes, and you get to feel less alone. That I can guarantee you. That's what it is. How'd I do?
That's fantastic. And we have a member of that community who has written in to ask a question about this episode. So before we record a podcast, we put out a feeler for questions based on the topic of the episode. And people write in if they have one. And this person had one.
Great.
Jeffrey, I'm a middle school teacher worried about the new ruling. Parents here are already asking for opt-outs around pronouns. How do I remain inclusive without risking legal trouble?
Well, disclaimer, I'm no lawyer. Talk to your own lawyer about the legal side of it. But what I can, my wheelhouse is spiritual. And what I can share with you is you remain inclusive within, and that will translate to inclusivity without. And what I mean is zero zip self-hate about how you're doing, how it's going, what you should be doing more of, what you should be doing better. We don't play those games. If you are in a situation that is changing, that is ongoing, that is uncomfortable, that is difficult, that is emotionally difficult for you because you can see the suffering of your own students, you give yourself a ton of leeway and a ton of love and kindness. And then also talk to your lawyer. but first comes the kindness. Do that. I find, Zach, that it's important to, one of the things we touched on that I found most intriguing is teachers balancing several lessons at the same time. So it's not just going to be about, this is going to be funny. What did he keep saying? Base 10. It's not just going to be about the math. It's going to be life lessons about how to live. And, the other thing that we do as a community sometimes is workshops, and we do get-togethers. But one of the favorite ways that I educate, if you want to call it that, is coaching one-on-one. And in those sessions, you must create a very safe space for people to feel comfortable, as we've been talking about all day. No one wants to open up and then have that be judged. So, what a great conversation we had today. We will take time now for another set of ads, and after that we have the reveal. Stay tuned. Hey love, Jeffrey here. If you've ever felt lost, stuck, or wondered, who am I really? And how do I fully embrace it? Then I've written something special just for you. My book, How to Be You, is your personal guide to self-acceptance, empowerment, and joyfully celebrating your true self. Because the most revolutionary thing you can ever be is exactly who you are. Ready to step into your truth? Pick up How to Be You wherever books are sold. You deserve it. Welcome back. It's time for the big reveal of the answer to the trivia question. Zach?
Okay, awesome. So I I think there's a lot of responsibility on me answering this thoroughly.
Oh, yes,
right? So
please.
it's
I mean,
not
I wouldn't want anything else. Yeah.
right. So it's also not like this is the answer. I'm going to give some background. So the court case that we're talking about is Mahmoud v. Taylor. Yeah. Established that parents can opt their children out of lessons using LGBTQ plus themed books if they have religious objections. Right. This decision could influence individual school districts to reconsider the inclusion or approach to LGBTQ plus content in their curricula to avoid potential conflicts and accommodate parental opt-out requests. So the question was, how many states have already enacted this opt-out procedure based on this court case? So the ones who, the number of states, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the ones who have already enacted parental opt-in, okay, based on the result of this court case, there are 7 of them.
Ooh.
Which is nice because you said 20.
I sure did. That makes me feel good. Great.
And I'm going to call them out because they deserve to be called out. Right? Is that okay? Are Arkansas, Florida, Montana, New Hampshire, Arizona, Tennessee, and Wyoming. Okay? States with don't say gay or trans laws prohibiting instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity already. Right, so this is the brainchild from my research and my understanding of who's the lovely man in Florida? I was going to say Rick Santorum. How old am I?
DeSantis. Rick's still around, I guess. But
Thank you so much.
DeSantis.
Yeah. Those states are Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Indiana, Iowa, which enforcement has been paused, but they were a part of it. Kentucky, Louisiana, and North Carolina. So 7 from this court case, but it seems like 5, 6, 10, like 11, 12 in all, which maybe you can locate some hope there. Although this is a fresh topic, a fresh court case as of July 3rd, and anything can happen. Yeah.
Well, I do like hope. And, what we touched on in the interview that was so wonderful to me is that most people are kind, good people. I honestly do believe that. And yeah, I'm sticking to it. Feels good to be alive. So we have our little rituals. Ooh, where did the word little come from? We have our amazing, huge, good, important rituals here. And I just want to remind you of a few things as we say goodbye today. When rights compete, justice mustn't lose out. So, in other words, justice, equity, kindness, including everyone, must come first and must be at the top of everyone's list. Teaching isn't just curriculum. It's a signal of belonging. It's a foundation of safety. And your presence in the classroom of life matters more. Your participation, your authenticity matters more than getting anything right or perfect. So we're all lifelong students of spiritual practice, if nothing else. And students may forget details. But they should remember self-respect. And our last ritual today is for you to close your eyes. Find a comfortable spot to be. If you're doing laundry, take a pause today. I don't always say that, but give yourself a little bit of kindness, a little bit of space. If you're driving, keep driving. keep your eyes open. But wherever you are, and whether your eyes are open or not, draw your attention inward and observe the breath. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to be different or perfect. You don't have to strive for a gold star today. You can just observe what it's like to be alive, what it's like to be fully human. And I'd like you to repeat to yourself, I have every right to be myself in every room. We'll say that a few times together as you're breathing. I have every right to be myself in every room. Say it a few times for yourself as you relax your shoulders, soften your face, and let yourself take up space. One more big breath in. And as you exhale and sigh, open your eyes, go back to your day, and go back to changing the world. Thank you so much. It's a delight to be with you. And we'll see you next time. This has been Inner Voice with Jeffrey Marsh. Today's episode was produced by Zach Latino. If you're ready to go deeper, transform your life, and experience personalized support, my one-on-one coaching sessions can be applied for at jeffreymarsh.com. Know someone perfect for Inner Voice? Send them our way. Have them visit jeffreymarsh.com to sign up for our exclusive online community, and we'll reach out if their inquiry aligns with an upcoming episode. Remember, you are worthy exactly as you are. See you next time.